Welcome to the Tech Files Dose of Common Sense. Transmitting live from the Tech Files Media Studio in San Antonio, Texas. How y'all doing? Happy Canada Day for all of you in Canada. Especially my listeners up in Toronto. We don't have a whole lot right out of the gate. We'll just do this really quick so y'all happen to be off with your families for the July 4th weekend and Canada Day weekend. Welcome to my new listeners in Tokyo, Japan. Arigato. First up, the Galaxy S8 Active receives a green light from the FCC. And of course, it's going to be, wait for it, that's right, kids, the Galaxy S8 Active is going to be an AT&T exclusive. Who would have thunk it? Dear AT&T, please don't make it look ugly than what you made the S7 look, S7 Active, and the S6 Active. And dear God, if you happen to have anything resembling the S5 Active, please throw the rest of those units away. Sincerely yours, the entire tech community. Please do not make this S8 Active look uglier than sin. And for whatever God's sake you do, please do not make it camouflage. Thank you. Next up, that's right, kids, we have more, and it's a lot of fun. Now, raise your hand if you give a crap about benchmarks. What? Nobody cares? Nobody likes benchmarks. Neither do I. So let's go on with this. For those of you who do care about benchmarks, the HTC U11 was the highest in Antutu's best benchmarks so far for 2017. Does it happen to be your daily driver? If so, congratulations. You have a phone that scores high in benchmarks. Let me know how the rest of the phone is. And next up on our wonderful list of why in the world does things happen for a reason, and from the you don't have any common sense department. That's right, guys. You heard me talk a couple of nights back about actually you also heard me talk about it last night. The OnePlus 5 has something called the jelly effect. Now, basically what that is if you are maneuvering through any kind of the operating system, it will literally look like an elastic rubber band snapping across the screen. And OnePlus 5 actually said the following: well, this is perfectly normal for our phone. Of course it is, especially if the rumors are true. Now, did you actually forget which side was right side up? Are we really? I don't think you did. I just think you should have invested a little bit more of quality assurance. I mean, nobody doubts that you produce an awesome phone. Nobody doubts that you are actually trying to help the consumer, which 90% of the other OEMs on the planet don't do, with the exception of a few. But we're talking about OnePlus right now. So, here's my advice. Take the people on the assembly line that actually could not tell the difference between right side up and upside down, and please fire them. And while you're at it, why don't you go back, if you have the ability to, because I'm not sure if you do or not, and that's okay. Anybody that happens to complain of this effect, here's my advice. take the phones and just simply replace them. It will save you a lot of headaches. If you have the ability to, it will save you a lot of headaches in the long run. Believe me. I wish you could, Or send out a software update that fixes the issue once and for all. And for those of you who have a OnePlus 5 that has that particular issue, here's my advice for you. Go in to settings. Find the build number. Tap the developer options. If you need to get to the developer options, you tap the build number 7 times. It will get you in developer options. Go down to where it says animations. Go to 0. Cut them out. Get rid of it. At that point, the jelly effect should end. Not a guarantee, but it should end. If it doesn't end at that point, then I would definitely raise hell about replacing the phone. But here's my advice. If you're going to check this stuff, check it when you first get the phone, because you do have 14 days. So get that done as fast as you can. That way you don't have any problems and you simply move on. Because OnePlus has an awesome phone. It's just some of their people don't know which side is up and which side is down. If the rumor's even true. And I could very well be wrong on that. I hope I am. So, going from a possible fix to a company that just loves putting their foot in their mouth, let's talk about, that's right, Verizon. Oh, yes. Hi, little Stevie, how are you? Yeah. What? Oh, okay. Let me get into it. So, here's what's happening. Most phone companies and carriers throughout the United States, and for that matter the world, they have anti-spam features on their networks. Now, most of these carriers give that feature for free. Until, of course, you get to the United States carrier, otherwise known as Verizon, the company that doesn't know whether to join reality or kick reality in the tail. Here's the funny one. Verizon actually charges for their anti-spam feature. They only charge $2.99.
But here's the thing. $2.99 matters a whole lot in this day and age.
That's right. It matters a lot. $2.99 pays for a gallon of gas. Now, that, for somebody, that could very well mean the difference between getting somewhere on time and being late. And in your particular case, Verizon, I don't think you can afford any more customer service screw-ups. As I discussed last night, customers of yours are getting booted off of your network and given an ultimatum. Port your number to Verizon or lose your service because they happen to live in a rural area. I'm sorry, it's BS. All my international listeners, be very thankful that you are not dealing with this company at all, because we have to in the States. So, it is what it is, folks. It is what it is. So, especially for my Canada, not Canada, Happy Canada Day, by the way. I don't think you would want this one anyway. For my Japanese listeners out there, you have a bezel-less Sharp FS8010 and FS8016. These are just the model numbers. They are going to arrive on July 17th, specifically and only for Japan. Okay? Now, for those of you who are not in Japan, if you're curious as to what the phone looks like, I will leave the link to the story in the description. But, spoiler alert, remember the Sharp Aquos Crystal? Yeah, well, they're going to try that again. Let's hope not. Let's hope it's not that bad anyway. Japan, I don't think you're going to have an issue with this phone. I really don't. The only reason we in the States didn't like it is because it was a Sprint exclusive. Speaking of Sprint exclusives, for those in the States, and for specifically because your parent company is SoftBank, Sprint customers in Washington, D.C., Chicago, L.A. or Las Vegas, I'm not quite certain of that, and Miami had exclusive parties of Jay-Z's new album, 444. I don't have the link to this particular story, but from what I understand, that is not the only streaming service that has that album as of this moment. From what I'm understanding, it could very well be available through iHeartRadio. If you're curious, we are also applying to podcast on iHeartRadio. I will let you know how that turns out. So, if you're interested in looking for the Jay-Z album, go to iHeartRadio. You could very well find it. Other than that, it's supposed to be a Tidal exclusive. Just like the LG X Power is supposed to be an exclusive to Xfinity Mobile. And I say X Power because that was the original model under Sprint, who right now is in exclusivity discussions with Comcast and Charter. Trust me, the X-Charge is not an exclusive phone, kids. Just type up X Power, look for it on Sprint.com, you will see this ugly monster in the flesh. It isn't all that. Now, speaking of phones that are not all that, and I'm really sorry to bring this one up, I know, I'm sorry, I understand, but I've got to. So, here's this particular deal. The LG G6, we all know of this phone. We all know that it's absolutely awesome. So here's the deal with this. LG is going to make a mini... Oh, God. LG is going to make a mini version of this phone. And it is supposed to be 5.1 or 5.2 inches. Jules Wayne wrote about it for PocketNow.com. His story's in the description. I've read the story. It's been a while since I've read it, so I might not have gotten all of it. It is supposed to be 18.5 by 9, or 2.25 to 1, something along those lines. But to cut specifically to the chase, it's supposed to be a miniature version of the LG G6. I pray to God. By the way, the phone's going to be known as the Q6. I don't know why they did that. Let's get to the meat of this. I hope to God that if this is in fact a miniature of the LG G6, please do not literally make this a spec'd down piece of junk under a different name. I haven't seen this phone yet. I hope it isn't the case. But do me a favor, follow the Sony principle. If you're going to make something mini, or at least Sony's principle till the last couple of years, if you're going to make a mini, make a mini. But don't underspec the phone. Okay? Please, dear God, don't underspec the phone. I don't think any one of us will be happy on that particular one. And yes, I have actually seen the underspec phone, or the underspec mini version of many of these phones. As for many, don't get me started. The only thing that crippled that is it was a Sprint exclusive, and Tri-Band sucked. And those of you who had Sprint service will agree with me. Unfortunately, I had Sprint service at the time with an LG G Flex. And before you give me crap over that, it was a good phone, okay? Pixels per inch were horrible. The screen burn-in was horrible, but it was a good phone. I loved the phone at the time. Hated the Flex 2 simply because the Flex 2 was a software mess. The software on this phone was hot garbage before it even left CES, which killed the phone completely. So, by the way, here's a question for you all. What was the absolute worst phone that you've ever had? If anybody's curious on the worst phone that I've ever had, the absolute positively worst phone that I've ever had. Sorry, Huawei. The award goes to you. Here's why. The Huawei Ascend, I'm talking about version 1 of the Huawei Ascend, 2012, you weren't even really in the smartphone game. It was a it was a Cricket exclusive and a literal hot mess. I ended up having to root the phone the very first night because it was so damn slow. I mean, it literally looked like a semi-truck trying to climb up a mountain in winter on nothing but a sheet of ice. Didn't work. It was comical, really. So, what was the worst handset you've ever had? That's mine. Email me yours. show@techfilesmedia.com or send me a message on Twitter @techfiles. Be more than happy to discuss this. More than happy. And who knows, maybe you might have an issue with the phone over the holiday weekend. I hope not. I really hope not. I hope all of you have a wonderful holiday weekend. At least those of us celebrating Canada Day and those of us celebrating Independence Day. My international listeners, I hope you have an awesome weekend as well. But just before you go, we have one more story for you. And this is for all you that are even interested in or are currently using Project Fi. Rumors have it, according to GSM Arena and Pocket Now, unfortunately, Jules, I could not get the link to the Pocket Now article. I was only able to get the one source that I was able to get a hold of, which was GSM Arena. The new mid-tier smartphone available for Project Fi is rumored to be the Moto X4. Honestly, it could have been a whole lot worse. It could have been a really bad phone. And Sony's put out a few, unfortunately, over the last couple of years. I have yet to see a Sony phone in my hand since 2013. Here's what I think of this. If anybody can prove me wrong and either show me or send me or demonstrate that a Sony phone actually has capability that isn't upscaled, overclocked, rooted, castrated, and if you want to go castrated, the Sony phone that was introduced last year was coming to the States with no fingerprint scanner, and half the features were disabled on it. It's getting to the point where Sony's not even concerned about the U.S. market anymore. And if they do, it's an afterthought. I hope that won't be the case for too much longer. I really do. Sony's got some great phones. They've had a reputation for great phones for a while. But apparently not so in the United States. And guys, this is just the general thoughts of us tech guys, especially in the States. People, international customers have no problems whatsoever obtaining unlocked phones. You never have, almost. That's an advantage that you have that we will never have here. At least as long as the current, and I'll just leave it at that, as long as the current political leadership is the way they are, it will never change. Unless you order directly from the manufacturer. Here is why. International listeners, you understand this perfectly. You get unlocked phones. You don't have subsidies. You get whatever phone you want. You pay for it. You own it. That's it. And you can switch whenever you want. Okay? United States customers have two options. One is a very cheap and economical solution. One is as expensive as hell. Here's that option. We can either obtain phones directly through the manufacturer, which is expensive as hell for a lot of us because our credit's not that good in the United States. It's an epidemic here, unfortunately. However, for those of you who listen to me who are international, you have no issues of getting unlocked phones at all. We have one of two options. We can order it directly from the manufacturer, pay full price, or if we have good enough credit, we get it financed. Or we go to a carrier and we pay payment to the carrier for a certain number of time. Usually that's anywhere between 12 months with an automatic upgrade, which in that case we never own the phone, to 2 years on a what they call an installment payment or a lease. I call it pretty much you never own the phone. And then, like I just said, we order it directly from the manufacturer and either get it financed or we pay for it cash. And in my entire time of being in the cell phone industry, I have only met a couple of people that are actually willing to order phones unlocked. Or a third option, you just simply deal with Apple, which is great. That's fine. Apple works for those who are comfortable with Apple. If you want something to simply work, you go with Apple. If you want something that you can customize and make your own, rather than just on the surface, then you get Android. It's entirely up to you how you guys do this. But I'm just illustrating the difference between unlocked phones and carrier phones. International listeners, you have no issues getting unlocked phones because that's simply mostly what you get. Us in the States, most things we get is carrier phones. They're subsidized. And anybody who sells an unlocked phone, with the exception of a couple of manufacturers in the United States, are never heard from. Period. I hope that'll change. I've got my doubts. The only company that I know of, okay, and for those of you in the States who are listening to this, if you want an awesome phone, it may not be flagship spec, but if you want an awesome phone and you can't afford the Motorola phones, okay, there's a company called Blue, B-L-U, and you can even go to Best Buy and pick these suckers up. And also you have the Honor 6X, I do believe. I may be wrong on the model. This is why I raised hell about the Honor 9, because the Honor 6X is such a good phone. If you want an unlocked phone, go to Best Buy. You will either find Blue or Honor there. If you find any other ones there, you're usually paying through the nose for it. And I have no issues with any OEM at all. The only issue I have is when it comes to obtaining unlocked phones in the United States, period, bar none. But it could always be worse. Anyway, Moto X4, new mid-tier smartphone, should be available on Project Fi, and it should be relatively soon. So, we'll be right back, folks. Hold on just one moment, please. Alrighty, guys, we are back. So, to wrap this up, guys, here's just a review. Moto X4 is going to be the new mid-tier smartphone for Project Fi. The LG G6 mini form, if it's the LG Q6, here's what I would do. If it's Q6, take a look at the specs. If the specs aren't up what you want, ignore it completely. The Sharp FS8010, the Sharp FS8016 will arrive in Japan on July 17th. And for those of you in the States that want to know what that phone looks like, remember the Sharp Aquos. Verizon stuck their foot somewhere again. They're charging for anti-spam features. T-Mobile and AT&T are giving theirs away. So, if anybody wants to complain on that one, go directly to Verizon, raise hell with them. For those of you who give a crap about benchmarks, the U11 has the best benchmarks so far for 2017. All these articles will be listed in the show's description. The S8 Active has the green light from the Federal Communications Commission in the United States. Of course, it's an AT&T exclusive. I don't see any other way around that. And for those of you who get the phone and you hate the bloatware, there's certain applications that you can get that you don't have to have root, that you can disable all that crap. Piece of advice, check Google Play Store for Package Disabler Pro Samsung and get the Pro package. It's well worth it. Last but not least, OnePlus 5, the jelly scrolling may have been figured out. And it's a simple factor, and you can even do it if you've already gone through the 14 days. It's a simple factor, guys. They may have installed the screen upside down. Two sources for this. One will be in the show's description. It is, let's see, that would be Engadget. It's the main source that I used for this. Secondary source is going to be XDA developers. So if you're curious as to how they could possibly install the screen upside down, don't ask that particular question. The cynical ones among us can pretty much figure that one out. No issue with OnePlus 5, just some of their assembly line workers just simply made a mistake. If you really have an issue with it, you can always take it to a cell phone repair specialist if you've gone through 14 days. They probably won't charge you that much money for flipping the display where it's supposed to be. At least I don't think they will. But you never know on that. Check with your local dealer. If you're in San Antonio, check out Wireless Toys. They should be able to help you with that. And for those of you, this is about as close to an advertisement as I've done for these people. Dinesh, here they come. Wireless Toys, 6790 Bandera Road, San Antonio, Texas. Give them a call. 210-647-5111. If you have a OnePlus 5, you need a display reversed, give them a call. See what they can do to help you. If you're interested in the OnePlus 5 or interested in any other phone, give them a call also. They do a lot of repairs. They do a lot of unlock sales, so on and so forth. And they're great, by the way. Any questions or comments due to the show, due to business opportunities or anything else, please feel free to email me at show@techfilesmedia, TEKFILESMEDIA.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at techfiles. If you have any other questions, please drop a line at this is what happens at 3 o'clock in the morning, folks. Techfilesmedia at gmail.com. If you have anything personal you would like to send, please do that. Techfilesmedia at gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter at techfiles. And anybody interested in podcasting and needs a good app to use, by all means, go to Spreaker. Spreaker will have you set up from 0 to 0 in about 10 minutes. Just follow the instructions. It's easy as pie. Guys, thank you very much for inviting me into your homes today, tomorrow, whenever you do. Have a great weekend. Canada listeners, happy Canada Day. American listeners, happy 4th of July. We will probably be on the air before then, if not exactly on that day. Have a wonderful, wonderful time, folks. Thank you so much for your listenership. We are available on Google Play Music, Stitcher, digitalpodcast.com, TuneIn.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, Pocket Cast. And of course, none of this would be possible without Spreaker, who I thank for their support. Selected music tracks are composed by Kevin MacLeod. Anyone interested in his royalty-free music, Compotech.com will also be in the show description. Used as Creative Commons License 3.0. Awesome composer. Thank you, Kevin. Guys, have a great afternoon. Have a great night. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Happy 4th of July. Happy Canada Day. Happy weekday or weekend, all my international listeners. We are out. Thank you so much.